To me, it's the perfect response to the abject misery of my history class as a schoolboy. Considering the immense riches that history offers us in terms of the worst and best of human behavior, it's basically, you know, sex, violence, and struggles for power. And none of that made it into my history class. I was taught how they irrigated fields in the 18th century, and I can still remember who invented the Davy lamp, Humphrey Davy. I don't think history should be restricted to the classroom. I don't even know if it belongs in the classroom. I think it is taught through everything that we experience in our cultural life. It's taught through the way people exchange words with each other. It's taught with the music we listen to and the books we read and the movies we go to see. And some of that stuff is very radioactive. We only have to look at the kind of films and music that people want to ban constantly to see how powerful the cultural material is. And hopefully some of this stuff will be a testament to that. I mean, I've read things that were written hundreds of years ago that still look dangerous, and they cost somebody something at the time, and they would again if they were said today, if you just change the context. So what we're doing here is getting the best possible people, the best singers, the best actors we can find to air some of these voices. Some of them will probably be familiar to people, but I think a lot of them are buried treasure. The end result, the final result, will be a film. This is being staged with a view to making the film, and with a view to making that the experience of watching the film as closely as possible approximate to the experience of watching it in the theatre. I think the fact that it is live, that you're watching people speak in a moment when something could go wrong, and it will, I think brings some of the tension to this material. Again, this isn't my history teacher making us copy out, you know, great acts of legislation or memorizing dates. You know, the stakes for our performers won't be quite as high as they were for some of the original speakers, but they will be high because, you know, the theatre has its own tension. And my intention is to capture that. For those who can't be there that day for the event, you'll be able to see it on History.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Listening to the voice of the people, I can't help reflecting that actually this is where we did our first rehearsal for the King's speech. The last time I was here was before my accession to the throne, and I think we can consider this my abdication announcement. But clearly this is an event to launch a book. The book, as Jamie has just told you, was inspired by an event, very much like this one. And that event was inspired by a series of events which are taking place across the United States over the last few years. And those events were inspired by a book, which was inspired by another book, which was inspired by just about every event which has taken place in the history of the United States. The book is, in fact, Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States of America. And in writing that book, Howard established himself as a voice for the kind of people who don't normally make their way into the history books, the agitators, the subversives, basically the troublemakers of history. And he said that we should never accept the memory of nations as our own. And he wanted to explore the discovery of America from the point of view of the Arawaks, and the Constitution from the point of view of the slaves, and the rise of industry from the point of view of the women working in the textile mills in the 1830s. Those people made it into Howard's book, but Howard's book had a lot of trouble making it onto the curricula of various schools and colleges for many years. Unlike most textbooks, instead of ending on page 8,000 and boring students rigid in the classroom, it became an instrument for these voices quite literally to be heard in perpetuity through a relay of events such as this one. Howard's friend, publisher, fellow writer, Anthony Arnov, with Howard harvested a lot of the words of these people, literally many hundreds of them, put them into a book and into the mouths of actors, singers, writers, anybody who was willing, which proved to be a very considerable number. And at this point, I intruded on the exercise, having discovered it in America. And at a loss to know how to dispose of me, Anthony decided to export me and the whole project to the United Kingdom to see if we could find an English equivalent, and then possibly go on to take over the entire world. And this is probably just a small step to that end. My hope is that this will affect you in the way that it affected me when I first saw it, which was not just a salute to the courage of our predecessors, but also a reflection on where we ourselves stand in the narrative. It's a reminder that, as Howard said, democracy works from the bottom up. The entitlements, the rights that we enjoy today, not so long ago were outside the law. They were crimes, and they were punished as crimes. And that there are still people working inside the law all the time to try to inhibit those rights, to try to reduce them, try to compromise them. And we have the option to maintain them, protect them, expand them, or by doing nothing, simply to lose them. And the people that follow us in the following generations will live with the choice we make. And as Howard said, you can't be neutral on a moving train. As to the virtues of our performers, I won't trail those. They will be all too clear to you. I would just like to, my cup runneth with gratitude in just about every direction, so I won't saturate you with that, but I will add mine to everything that Jamie has expressed. Add Jamie to that list. Somebody said the other day, this really struck me, that teaching is a gesture of serial non-abandonment of you. And with that in mind, I'd like to thank my teachers, Anthony Arnov, Miles Taylor, and David Horspool. And he'll be surprised to hear me say this, I think, this evening, but the best history teacher I ever had, my dad. And with that, I would just let you know that in the interest of brevity, we've decided to keep this evening to 500 years. There will be no interval, and so I hope you've been to the washrooms, because we can't have you running out to relieve yourselves in the middle of the 18th century. Sorry to be so authoritarian. Have a wonderful evening. Right.
Old woman.
Man.
Man, sorry. What knight lives in castle over there?
I'm 37.
What?
I'm 37. I'm not old.
Well, I can't just call you man.
Well, you could say Dennis.
I didn't know you were called Dennis.
Yeah, well, you didn't bother to find out, did you? What I object to is you automatically treat me like an inferior.
Well, I am king.
Oh, king, eh? Oh, very nice. Well, how'd you get that, eh? By exploiting the workers, by hanging on to outdated imperialist dogma, which perpetuates economic and social differences in our society. If there's ever going to be progress...
Dennis, there's some lovely filth down there. Ooh, how'd you do?
How do you do, good lady? I am Arthur, king of the Britons. Whose castle is that?
King of the who?
The Britons.
Who are the Britons?
We all are. We are all Britons. And I am your king.
I didn't know we had a king. I thought we was an autonomous collective.
You're all fooling yourself. We're living in a dictatorship, a self-perpetuating autocracy in which working classes...
Oh, there you go, bringing class into it again.
Oh, that's what it's all about.
Please, good people, I am in haste. Who lives in that castle?
No one lives there.
Then who is your lord?
We don't have a lord.
What?
I told you, we're an archo-syndicalist commune.
Oh, be quiet. Be quiet. I order you to be quiet.
Order? Oh, what does he think he is?
I am your king.
Well, I didn't vote for you.
You don't vote for kings.
Well, how'd you become king, then?
The Lady of the Lake, her arm clad in the purest shimmering samite, held aloft Excalibur from the bosom of the water, signifying by divine providence that I, Arthur, was to carry Excalibur. That is why I am your king.
Listen. Strange women lying in ponds distributing swords is no basis for a system of government. Supreme executive power derives from a mandate from the masses, not from some farcical aquatic ceremony.
Be quiet.
You can't expect to wield supreme executive power just because some watery tart threw a sword at you. If I went round saying I was emperor just because some moistened bint lobbed a scimitar at me, they'd put me away.
Shut up. Will you shut up?
Oh, now we see the violence inherent in the system.
Shut up!
Oh, come and see the violence inherent in the system. Help, I'm being repressed.
Bloody peasant.
Oh, what a giveaway. Do you hear that? Do you hear that, eh? That's what I'm on about. You see him repressing me? You saw it, didn't you?
Thank you.
While in America, I saw Howard Zinn's The People Speak, a performance that celebrates the voices of dissenters and protesters who fought for whatever liberties we enjoy today. These are the inconvenient words you were never meant to hear.
He says what a lot of people are thinking now, that, you know, the British government's hiding behind the Americans, and this whole thing that we think we had a great British Empire, but we're basically slaves to America. Where, you know, if you put it another way, it's like it being the playground bully is bullying someone, and that's America, and we're the Brits behind the bully going, yeah, go on, hit him.
Be quiet, I order you to be quiet.
Order, eh? Who does he think he is?
I am your king.
Well, I didn't vote for you. I went to the bank to borrow money to buy a car, and they said, of course you'll get your husband to sign this, won't you? I said no.
Detention is where hope and inspiration are almost impossible to sustain. The cage is a place where sanity is a full-time job.
Against the vast majority of my countrymen, even at this moment, in the name of humanity and civilization, I protest against our share in the destruction of Germany.